HIPAA, health insurance portability and accountability. Objectives: describe protected health information PHI, explain confidentiality and the requirements of the HIPAA rule for protecting and releasing information, and identify best practices for compliance with HIPAA. HIPAA violations. Violations often occur unintentionally and seem small. Violation can still result in fines and a damaged reputation. Confidentiality. Ensured when restrictions are placed on the disclosure or release of data or information. Under HIPAA, healthcare workers and others are required to maintain confidentiality of protected health information. Protected health information. PHI is essentially all health information that could be used to identify an individual. PHI is transmitted verbally, in writing, or electronically. It includes the individual's past, present, or future physical or mental health or condition, the health treatment services provided, the payment information regarding the services provided. Common identifiers: name, geographic units smaller than a state, such as a street address, city, county, zip code, all dates except for the year related to the person, including birth date, admission date, discharge date, date of death. Telephone number, fax numbers, and email addresses. Social security number, account number and insurance numbers, certificate, license numbers, vehicle and serial numbers, excluding license plate numbers. Additional common identifiers: photograph of a person's face, device identifiers and serial numbers, web universal source locations, URLs, and internal protocol, IP address numbers, biometric identifiers, fingerprint or voice print, genetic information, unique identifiers or code. PHI protection is protected for 50 years after a person's death. HIPAA privacy rule regulates the disclosure release of an individual's PHI and bans the release of information except in certain cases. Authorization consent under the HIPAA privacy rule. No authorization consent is needed to use or disclose PHI for treatment purposes, payment purposes, or healthcare operations. Authorization consent is required for disclosure of information for marketing purposes or disclosure in which the covered entity receives any type of payment. When in doubt, get consent. Laws and regulations. A state or federal law or regulation preempts or overrules the HIPAA when it gives the individual more access to their PHI, protects the individual's health information more from disclosure, and when a state law or federal law or regulation gives a person greater privacy protection then it preempts HIPAA. Minimum necessary rule states that disclosure of PHI should be limited to the smallest amount of information needed to accomplish the purpose for which disclosure is sought. Staff should have access to and use only the minimum amount of disclosure needed to perform their duties. Notice of privacy practices. Every care provided must have a disclosure called a Notice of Privacy Practice, an NPP, that describes how information about the individual is used. Security rule. Keeping PHI confidential means making sure that electronic systems that receive, maintain, or send PHI are secure. Failure to do this could result in a breach. HIPAA breach. A breach under HIPAA means that the non-encrypted PHI has been acquired, accessed, used, or disclosed, and the breach poses a large risk of financial, reputational, or other harm to the individual. Penalties range from $100,000 to $50,000 and can add up to $1,500,000 per violation for all violations of a similar type in a calendar year. Penalties are increased when violations are not corrected with a specific time frame. Physical access. PHI should be kept in an area that can be locked or at a mini area where access can be restricted. Do not access PHI that you do not need to see to perform your job duties. If given keys, tokens, ID badges, etc., make sure to keep them secure. PHI on paper. Documents containing PHI should not be left on unattended computer programs, photocopies, or fax machines. Avoid leaving documents containing PHI in plain view. Shred documents. Telephone. Get instructions from individuals as to how they would like to be reached, including how to leave a message. Only leave names and callback numbers on answering machines. Confirm when speaking with someone on the telephone their identity. Information technology. Keep computer screens out of eyesight of others. Always lock your screen. Do not share information on social media. Do not post pictures on social media. Use a secure password and never share your password or write it down in a location where it can be found. Don't include PHI in email. Reread and double check your email to whom you are sending.